If we were asking you as a foreign correspondent, or the American phrase is sit-rep, in your analysis, the sit-rep of the current situation in the Middle East following this US blockade of Iran's ports, where are we in this chapter?
Well, we are still in the phase of continued or even rising tension. We have seen a very active military phase in the conflict. What we now see is a prolongation of that in the absence of negotiations, or they have not gone very well. So here we see other forms of pressure being developed from the sides, right? I mean, the Iranian side as well as the US side are trying to push some as much pressure as they can on the other side for them to accept whatever the conditions might be in those negotiations. We will probably hear more about that in the next days. But here we are, both sides playing a very very, I would even say dangerous, but also a very dramatic game of trying to put as much pressure as possible on the other side.
And what do you see are the real risks of this blockade triggering direct military confrontation?
Well, that remains to be seen how much risk there is of a re-sparking the military operations. Right now, I see that the tension that is built with this situation. I mean, the risk, the biggest risk is that any slight miscalculation or provocation or even an accident could spark what might become the next military phase of this conflict. Because in a time of tension, everything that happens, even if it's a small accident or episode, might have bigger repercussions.
Should European countries be preparing for a prolonged crisis or even military involvement?
European countries certainly should be aware of the fact that the situation in the Middle East will remain not unpredictable, but very complicated, challenging, and the crisis mode will continue certainly for some time. Even if there is a negotiation going on, the negotiations might go for a longer time. The outcome of the negotiations might not be clear to anybody. We have seen this with the ceasefire before, where the terms of the agreement have not been confirmed by both sides. So the Europeans should count on having a complication in the Middle East for rather a long time. This is on top of the more complex and more unpredictable world that the Europeans have to deal with the aggressive Russia and the less predictable positioning of the United States than what they were used to. So they certainly should be looking for how they want to make sure that they have an active role in dealing with this situation.
And given that, what should policymakers in Europe be doing right now to mitigate those risks that you've outlined?
Yeah, they should be looking into options what to do. They want to be active. The European citizens, they expect European Union to be a global player. This is one of the regions, one of the crises that Europe should be engaging in the sense of making sure that the European interest is protected also in the Middle East. It's not that the European countries can say that this does not concern us and we will leave this to the US because we have not started this war. That is actually hurting the EU's global standing, and that is not giving EU an active participation in shaping what the situation will be. So the Europeans should be looking into ways how to get involved in this, not only politically but maybe even in some other capacity, to find ways how they can be useful for the most especially United States, because they are their biggest ally. But turning around and pretending that this is not going on is not helpful to the European countries.